Hi, welcome. My name is Kara and I live in the Pacific Northwest and I am a crafter. I love to knit, crochet, quilt, read, and get up to a lot of other crafty things. Today I want to share with you what I did in the month of March. First up, I finished a pair of socks. These socks are knit out of a homespun house yarn in a colorway is You Have to Eat This, Sir. Really old stash. Been trying to knit from stash. So this is my March socks that I pulled a skein from. And I knit my socks usually cuff down on a ChowGoo 2.0 millimeter magic loop. And this one I just did a plain ribbed sock. So 56 stitch cast on with 2x2 ribbing and then 3x1 ribbing, heel flap and gusset, and then ribbing on the top of the foot, and then just a rounded wedge toe. And this was my March pair. I only knit one pair of socks this month, but that's okay. And this, I have 36 grams left, and I will just put this in the scrap bin. It can be used for any scrappy projects. The second project I knit was actually crochet, and it's a corner to corner crochet baby blanket. So this is a quarter of it. And this is knit out of Cairn Cakes, cotton cakes. And this is the frozen yogurt. And this blanket took 2 of these balls, so I have 1 left. And so, and it's a nice size, you know. It's plenty to lay down a baby on. So, and I just did a border. I just did crochet clusters and then bound off. So, and then super easy, but I spent about the first 2 weeks of March crocheting this. I missed the baby shower because it came a little sooner than I was expecting it to. The baby's not due till June. So I'm going to make something else with this third ball. This took 2 balls, had a tiny bit left over. I'm going to try to make something with this one to go along with this for the baby, which is not due till June. So those were my 2 finishes, and that would be 600 grams out of my stash for the month of March. So the other thing, I have a notebook here, sorry. So the whips that I worked on, I've continued to work on my Millie sweater, which I started on Valentine's Day. And this yarn is Chelsea Luxe yarn in her slub base. It has this really nice texture to it. And this is just a raglan sweater. I'm just making some progress down the body. I have split the sleeves and I need to go still another 4 or 5 inches. And so I'm just steadily working on this, put a few rounds in. I have to kind of watch my needles. This yarn is thick and thin and super easy to drop a stitch. So I have to kind of watch what I'm doing. So it's mindless, but not quite mindless. I have to watch what I'm doing. And I have 3 balls of this yarn and I am halfway through this second ball. So I should be able to get the body done with this ball and then have the third ball for my sleeves. So I've just been steadily working on that. The Millie sweater, and I've had that in my queue for a really long time. The only other thing that I worked on this month was my Scrappy blanket. And sometimes when you work on a Scrappy blanket, it can go really slow in the beginning. And then you get to that point where you're decreasing. This is corner to corner, so I just feel like you get to a point where it's the end and you just want to finish. So I've put quite a bit onto this again. Let's see here. I put from this many rounds on in February, and I've done just about the same for March. So just random scraps. I have this a huge basket of scraps, fingering weight, all wool yarns, and I'm just putting rows on this as I feel like. It just sits by my chair. And I usually do magic knot these together, the scraps together, but I do leave long tails. Let's see here. oh, here's a section. Okay, so I magic knot it, but I leave these tails, and then I'll go ahead and crochet over that, and then I go back and I weave these tails in different directions. And so I always have a long tail. So for if any reason those break, I will have a longer tail. So here they are, I've kind of crocheted over that, but I will go ahead and weave these ends in further in opposite directions, and then they won't come. And this blanket's for me, so I'll just wash it carefully. But yeah, so put that in to that. So that was all of my knitting and crochet for the month of March. I felt like I didn't get as much done, but I did a lot of other things too. And oh, and one other thing, I had one other start. I finished the baby blanket for one friend, and then I started a second baby blanket for another friend. And this is going to be just a chevron blanket using these 3 colors. So I'm on the second repeat. And this is just Knit Picks Brava and coffee, orange, and I think this one's called oat. But it's just Knit Picks Brava, and I'm just got 2 balls of each, and I'm going to do as many stripes as I can. So it's about the same width as the other one. I think this will be very good for a little baby boy. The first one was for a baby girl. This one is for a baby boy. Okay, well that is all of that crafting to do. The other thing I did is in the first weekend of March, I went away on a girls' weekend. We usually do a little crafty project, and the person or one of my girlfriends brought paint by number. So this was the other thing I have done this month, is this paint by number, and it's kind of fun. I'd never done one of these before. And there's lots of little squares in there, so there's lots of things to do. Anyway, so I've been just kind of working on this, leaving it on the kitchen table. So that's been a kind of a fun second thing that I've been doing. So, and I thought I might go through some of the things I've been reading. I've really been enjoying reading in the last 6 months a lot. I do a book club with some knitters, and over Christmas and December and January, we were reading The Count of Monte Cristo, and I am still listening to that. It's like 52 hours of Audible, and I'm about halfway done. And I listen to that to and from work. I have about a 15-minute commute, so I don't get a ton done every day, but I do listen to that when I'm going to work. So I'm listening to The Count of Monte Cristo. Our January book that we discussed in early March. Oh, I guess it was the February book. So our February book was The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna, and we discussed that early March. And then the next book is 3 Bags Full, and it's a sheep detective story. It's really cute. I'd recommend that. That is by Leonie Swan, and it's supposedly coming out as a movie soon, and it's about a shepherd that dies and looks like he's been murdered, and the sheep want to solve the murder, and the book is from the sheep's point of view. The other book I read in between those two was called Pompeii by Robert Harris. That was really good, recommended by another booktuber. And currently, right now, I'm reading Sense and Sensibility because I realized I'd never read that book. I've read Pride and Prejudice several times, but had not read Sense and Sensibility. And then I picked up Project Hail Mary on Audible, and I have listened to that for the last 3 days, and it is so funny, and we're going to go see the movie this weekend, so I thought I'd start and finish that. Yeah, I think that is it. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you in a month. Bye.